Hi loves, welcome back to Love What Luck. Hope you're all well. I am very sorry we missed a week last week. It's been ages since I last spoke to you. I did vlog though, so I did get something out. It just wasn't a podcast Tuesday, and Tuesdays are just not the same when I'm chatting to you guys. So I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience as always. But yeah, we're back. We've got so much to catch up on, but I think we should go straight into this week's story. Okay, so this is from one of you guys, and the title is, Can You Trust Someone Too Much? Okay, so she says, Hi Sadie, hope you are doing amazing. Love the podcast. Thank you. I've been with my partner for 13 years, meeting when I was 19 and he was 24. 6 months later, we fell pregnant with our son, followed by our daughter 18 months after. Angel babies. He had been in a 6-year relationship before meeting me, was engaged and got cheated on. She left him and started a relationship with a guy she cheated with, but she was still seeing my partner behind the new guy's back. Just make a choice. You've cheated on your partner, you've had an affair, you've gone to a new relationship with the affair partner. That should be it. That's your choice. Why are you dabbling back and forth with the two, please? Anyway, she says, fast forward 12 months later, we meet and he stops seeing his ex to be with me. Mind blown, I know. I don't think that's mind-blowing. I think that makes perfect sense. You're caught up over your ex until I've come into your life, and naturally, I'm so amazing, you've realised that you need to end the weird triangle you're in, obviously, because you can get everything you want with me. I think it's completely believable and not mind-blown at all, so you go, girl. Anyway, trust was always an issue for him given his past, but we were all good for the next 10 years. Wow. With me trusting him way too much because of his past, I thought he would never hurt me like that. 10 years in, we hit a bit of a rocky patch. He's working nights and I'm working days. 2 kids in school, just day-to-day life of having a family and surviving. Anyway, I start to notice some changes. Oh God. Smiling at his phone, staying out late, not answering when I was calling, or blocking me when he was out, saying I was too much. No, immediately no to that. This was going on for a few weeks, and then I walk into him arguing with his friend on the phone. He assures me it was nothing and that they are okay. The same night, said friend comes to our house ready for the normal weekly night at the pub. My boyfriend comes downstairs, smarter than normal for a game of darts, with his friend asking, where you going dressed like that? I replied jokingly, oh, to meet his new girlfriend, ha ha ha. The joke was on me, obviously. No. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to keep reading, even though we clearly all know what's happening here. That night we had a massive argument. He leaves and goes to his dad's. We are both unhappy, and I think it's a mutual agreement that we can have space and talk. That was absolutely not what he had in mind. He started ignoring my phone calls and texts, told me how I was better off without him. Have to pause here. I did read somewhere before that if a guy or anyone tells you that you're better off without them, to believe them. There is a reason that he is saying that, and that's because he knows he's doing you wrong. Anyway, he stayed at his dad's, and a few weeks passed. We barely spoke. Obviously, he's in contact with the kids, but I start to finally move forward after a couple of breakdowns and tears because the world is still spinning, and I've still got 2 children who need me. Wow, I swear, like, moms are just superhumans, aren't they? The day after my 30th birthday, he turns up at our home after weeks of nothing to tell me he's been seeing someone for 3 weeks. They haven't slept together yet. And she put in brackets, okay, honey. But he said he could just speak to her and they just spend time together, which is funny because one of the only things I ever wanted from him was his time. Oh my God, that's cutting in. That's like... That was a little jab to the heart then, wasn't I, reading that? Anyway, he was honest with me, we spoke, and agreed to give it another go. Even though for weeks I hated how it made me feel, and I think I only took him back so soon because I didn't want him to go back to her, which looking back now is so sad for me and I hate now. that is not sad for you. I actually read that and I just think, yeah, like you go, girl. You're kind of taking your power back in a way that you can and almost affecting his happiness. It might be toxic, it might be petty, childish, whatever, but I just think it's a completely normal thing to do. And you don't know in that moment, obviously, because you still love him. You don't know what you want in the future. You might be able to forgive him. You might want to forgive him in, 6 months, a year's time, whatever, even longer. So you're not making a rash decision. You're thinking, she's not going to have him. I'm just going to keep him for now whilst I decide. So yeah, I feel sad that you feel that way. It's giving Beyonce ring the alarm vibes, Ain't no one looking at Beyonce thinking she's sad. So turns out the argument with his friend that time was his friend telling my boyfriend if he didn't tell me, he would. That's why he left that night, because he knew he was about to get found out, and instead of telling me, he just left. Yeah, I kind of guessed that was the friend's argument, which I love the friend, by the way. Obviously, this guy is a massive coward. And rather than come to terms with anything, he just left instead. Like, absolute baby. So, 2 years on, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this. 2 years on, and we are in a good place. He's changed jobs, and we've both worked on the things that we wanted each other to change. And now I honestly think that if he did the same thing again, I wouldn't care. I would just leave him without looking back, because I don't think I could ever be as heartbroken as I was when I found out. Do you think you can ever really love and trust someone the same once they break you like that? Short answer, no. I think you can love someone the same. I think love is... God, this is going deep. What's your definition of love? But I honestly, and this isn't me being romantic, I actually think it's being realistic. I think love is just the strongest emotion, and it can get shown in so many different ways, and it has so many different meanings. And I think you can love someone the same. I think you can love them as they hurt you. I think you can love them afterwards. I think love can definitely be rebuilt the same as before. I don't think you love someone less if they hurt you. Like when you think of like a parent's love, a friend's love, I think any love, I think you take the time to heal, and it's definitely, if you've been hurt, whatever, it definitely changes then. But I think if you're still with that person and you're still in love with them, the level can be the same, definitely. Do you ever trust someone in the same way? No, I don't think so. Trust, I think, is completely different to love, because love is like a feeling. You can't really control it. You really can't help who you fall in love with, which I know is cheesy, but you can't control love. You've just got it. You've either got it or you haven't with someone, and it's the best, strongest feeling. Trust, completely different. Trust isn't a feeling. Trust is something that you have to build, you have to work on. It gets shown in actions. It's got nothing really to do with the person. I think it's got more to do with what they do for you, what they do for the relationship. Well, and the person, actually, because if I'm with someone, right, a friend or a girl, okay, and they talk about somebody else a lot and regularly, if they bitchy, I wouldn't trust them. Whether or not they've done anything to me, I'll always keep those types of people at an arm's length, because I think if you can bitch to me about whatever it is and all these people, you're 100%, I think, rightly or wrongly, you're 100% going to bitch about me behind my back. Obviously, everyone has a moan and stuff. That's fair enough. But yeah, so what I mean is it does have something to do with the person, because sometimes you can just tell with someone's character if they're not very trustworthy, or if somebody's saying, I don't know, if someone's telling you about all these bad things they do into somebody and their character's fine with it, you'd probably be a bit cautious with them. But in terms of somebody you're with, say so you've obviously built that trust. She was with him for 10 years. You're with someone for 10 years and they do that. That's 10 years worth of trust that's built up. It's not going to come back just because you've forgiven them. In my opinion, it kind of needs to be rebuilt. So like she said, yeah, that the triggers were smiling at his phone, staying out late, blocking her when he was out, which is wild to me, by the way. Being blocked by your partner whilst you're out or whilst they're out. No. So those three things, obviously top of your head, they can never happen again. When you get back together with somebody, if they've, cheated or if they've hurt you, they cannot do those same things again because you're just going to get triggered. And I've had friends with stuff like that, like if they've done something and their phone was on airplane mode for like 8 hours, next time that phone goes on airplane mode, even if it's only for 30 minutes, straight away that's going to trigger something. So I just think the trust needs to get built up and can it ever get back to the same level as before? I don't know. From my experience, no. However, I also think, like I said, it takes a lot of time. And I think in the situations that I've been in, where someone's broken my trust or I've broken somebody else's trust, both times didn't maybe give it enough time. So, this is 2 years on now and they're in a good place. So I think if that's the case and you're in a good place and you're not still thinking about it all, then maybe the trust can definitely come back. But I just don't think it can go back to the same level. But I don't know. Please, guys, if you've got any experience in this type of stuff, then comment below. You can comment on Spotify as well now. Let us know what you think, because we actually haven't got many stories like that. Like most of the stories end at, I found out he did that and that's that. So that's why I was like so surprised to be like, 2 years on, they're fine. Although I do agree with that you're never going to get as hurt the second time. Do you remember Cheryl Cole, when Ashley Cole slept with our hairdresser or whatever, and it was so heartbreaking, and then it came out that he did it again with someone? I remember her on, I'm sure it was on Jonathan Ross, she said, or was it the Piers Morgan thing? I don't know. But she said, like, the second time she found out was nowhere near as hurtful as the first time. So does that prove that the trust is never the same, or does it just mean that you can't get as hurt about the same thing twice, just naturally, because your body's already somehow prepped for it, maybe? But yeah, I think that's quite a comfort, though. If you know that, or if you feel that you can't get as hurt the second time by something, then I think kind of takes the worry and the fear out of it a little bit, and maybe lets you trust more in the relationship generally. Because if you're really worried about something all the time, that's when you don't trust it. Not like when people, even in manifestation, they say you've got to trust the process. And when you don't, and when you're feeling like desperate and like anxious energy over something, that's usually more like pushes it away and makes it strained. Whereas if you've got the mindset, like if you've forgiven somebody and then you've got the mindset, look, they can never hurt me as much again. And that almost make you have a little bit more trust in the relationship generally, because there's not so much at stake, maybe. I don't know, it's very interesting, guys. Yeah, so please, if you've got any stories of this, then let us know. I don't believe that you can trust someone too much either. Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to trust somebody and trusting them too much. Like, I trust my mother with my life, literally. There's nothing wrong with that. I would trust a partner, not every partner, but, the partner that I'm with, like, forever, I'm gonna trust him with my life. And if you don't, then, I don't know, what's the point? Again, I feel like sometimes the message out there is always to be very tough. Don't you think? Like, I feel like constantly you see stuff online and it's always like, trust no one. And I always say stuff like this. I actually saw a screenshot the other day. I sent it to my friend. Let me get it up. Yeah, it says, this generation's idea of mental health has gotten out of hand. An upsetting situation is not trauma. A person you don't agree with is not a narcissist and shouldn't be cut out of your life for not seeing what you see. Your weird quirks don't mean you have autism. then you throw in the modern sayings like, you don't owe anyone anything, and you shouldn't have to compromise what you want. You do owe people things like decency, respect, and empathy, and compromise is normal. It's healthy. We are all human and have individual needs. And maybe letting go of all these toxic mindsets will help you find the happiness you cry to your friends about lacking. Maybe it starts with you. And I don't know, I obviously don't relate to everything in that, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, you read stuff all the time, it tells you, you shouldn't trust people 100% and you're a fool. No, you can trust people 100%. And if they break your trust and lay you down, that's on them. That's not on you for trusting someone. And, I should never have believed he wouldn't do that to me. Also, that's not going to make you less hurt. Like, she believed that he would never do that to her because he'd been cheated on. It still would have hurt just as much if she didn't believe that. Even if she didn't trust him at all, the action is still the same. It's still painful. It's still hurtful. So I feel like people do that to try and protect themselves, but it doesn't protect you. It actually doesn't at all. The hurt is always going to be the same, in my opinion. I think whoever wrote, the girl that wrote this in is obviously a compassionate person because, yeah, she felt hurt, but she was able to be human, I suppose, like that screenshot. And look, if you're with somebody for 10 years, you've got 2 kids, I never think that's an only reason you should stay with somebody, not at all. But, if you've had 10 good years with somebody and something like this, like a little blip happened when things weren't great, and that's kind of the only bad thing someone's done, then it's up to you. Obviously, some people would be like, absolutely not, and could never move past it, but other people might think that there's a quote in there is it in About Time or something? It's with Rachel McAdams, and she finds out that her father had an affair and her mother forgave him, and Rachel McAdams, obviously, I never know her character's name. She's Rachel McAdams in everything that I watch her in. Apart from Ali in Notebook. She's Ali in there. Oh, and Regina George, actually. So I'm blatantly just lying out my face. But in that, she's fuming at her mother and she's like, how could you forgive Dad for doing that? And the mother said something like, I forgave his one wrong for all the things that he did right. And I think that's fine, and it's up to you. And I guess time will tell whether you can trust them. I think if you forgive somebody, it's great and it's fine, but don't forgive them at your expense, where you want to forgive them, but then you're torturing yourself thinking about what they've done, because that's not good for you. You might really want to forgive somebody, but you can't rush it. It's like that even if you fall out with a friend or something, like, all relationships take time to reheal. It's such a fragile thing, isn't it? I just think when you're in a close relationship with somebody, a friend, family, or romantic, you just give so much, even if you don't intend to, even if your independence got nothing to do with that. But I just think you end up giving so much to someone that any hurt they do is like, it's like taking a bullet. It's like the biggest thing. If a friend betrays you or something, oh my God. A friend can say exactly the same thing about you as a stranger if it's a bad thing. And obviously your friend saying it will eat you up, like it'll kill you. Same as like a stranger. So say you're planning to go on a first date with someone and he doesn't want to pick you up from the airport, say. It's a first date. You might, depending on what type of person you are, you might be like, oh, dick. Or you might just be like, whatever, it's our first date, fine. If your partner of 5 years says, I don't want to pick you up from the airport, get a taxi, that's like, oh my God. I was actually talking about this to my friend the other day, how there's nothing more romantic than an airport pickup. Truly, there's nothing sweeter. There's no bigger gesture, personally, I don't think, than somebody coming to the airport to pick you up. Oh my God. it's just so lovely, don't you think? Because picking somebody up from the airport, depending where you live, is a ball ache. It's an absolute ball ache. So to have somebody that is willing to do that for you, it just speaks volumes to me. When I went to Dubai, mortified if he somehow ever listened to this, by the way, but when I went, I've only had 2 airport pickups in my life, right? One was in Belfast, so I don't really count that as romantic. I appreciated it, don't get me wrong, but it's a small airport. It's like picking somebody up from Cardiff Airport. It's not the same because the hassle isn't the same, you know? Whereas if somebody's picking me up from Heathrow, lay me down, put whipped cream over me and just eat it off me. I'm yours for the night if you're picking me up from Heathrow Terminal 5. Sorry. But Cardiff, Belfast, Bristol I'd take. Bristol I'd go base 1. I don't even know what that means. First base, not base 1. Okay, you get the gist. But when I went to Dubai to see a guy before, I remember messaging and I was like, so what's your address? Obviously I'll get a taxi. He's like, no, I'll pick you up from the airport. I was like, oh my God, please. Instant turn on. Instant. I'm just like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, of course, I'll pick you up. I'm like, from an international flight in a busy airport? Cuff me. Wow, there's just, oh my God, if I was a player as a guy, I'd be cruising all around, I would. I'd be in and out Gatwick South Terminal, like, they'd know me they'd know me on first name basis. I'd be there with flowers and a bloody matcha. I'm sorry, what are the guys doing? Guys these days think game is not texting someone back for a little bit and keeping them on their toes and coming to a date dressed up and maybe paying for the night. No. Game is doing all the grand gestures that show that you're a kind, nice person. It's picking you up from the airport. It's bringing you flowers. It's bringing you your favourite drink in bed. It's taking the rubbish out for you. It's you text them saying you're having a bad day at work and they've got flowers at home waiting for you. Like, that's game. If I was a boy, I swear I'd be untouchable. Everyone would want a piece of me. I just know it. I'd just be playing the game. I'd be driving one hand like this all the time. One hand on the thigh. Oh, yeah, right hand on the thigh. No, left hand on the thigh, right hand on the wheel. I'd be cruising. Cruise control, I swear. There'd just be no stopping me. Instead, here we are, guys. Never mind. Right, if you're new here, if you've been here a couple of times, I don't know why you're playing that if you haven't subscribed. Please, 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 when I tell you, I check that YouTube every day to see those numbers. Every day. So if you're watching, please just hit subscribe. It's a massive help for me. It just makes me happy. It makes me feel loved. And please make sure you follow me on Spotify as well. It's a two-way street, I understand. I've been slacking massively on socials. I actually last week, which is what I was saying on the vlog, I was just in a troll-like state. I was like a sad troll under the bridge. I didn't want to be seen, heard. I didn't want any contact with anyone. I was just a sad troll lurking in the shadows. So I understand, and I always thank you for being patient. We know this year's been a bit of a rocky one, so thank you to those that still come back every week. I appreciate it more than you know. But yeah, please just make sure you're following and subscribing. You know, the more you do that, I'm sure the more it'll pull me out, and, you know, eventually we'll be in a studio. But yeah, I didn't have like a bad week. Like, nothing happened. Well, to be fair, too much information. I know I've got male listeners. But it tricks me every month, right? Because all of a sudden, I start to feel sad, a little bit sad. And then I was on the tube, and I can't even remember what happened now, but I remember coming off and just feeling irrationally angry, rage. And then I remembered my friend telling me how she gets severe rage when she's got PMS before her periods come in. But every month, I think it's because I don't have it every month. Like sometimes it'll be a bit worse than others. But every time I have it, I trick myself and I think, well, I am due a period, but it's not that. Like this person walking in front of me is really annoying. Even though I haven't felt like that the week before, the week after, you know? So little things like that start to happen. I felt really just, down and just like a troll. And then I had my period and I was like, oh, okay, it's not me. This isn't you. It's hormones. It's so scary. And then obviously I was speaking to my friends. I was like, guys, I'm back. I think it was PMS. And they're like, obviously. Like, they know. But I just feel like that they know. I don't know. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. So it tricks me. But yeah, I went to Pride of Britain on Monday night, which was so nice. And that helped. That was like the end of my trollness. I was like coming out of it, blooming into a butterfly. So yeah, that was good timing actually. That was very fun. I speak a little bit more about that on my vlog. Do you know last episode, I read that story about the woman whose partner went on a date with his ex right before they got married. It's not even partner, husband. Wild, right? Scrolling through TikTok the other night, this girl posted a screenshot of the text and said, "This is my worst fear." And the text she received is wild. Let me read it to you. Hey, I know it's been 11 years. 11 years. But who's counting all? You, clearly, mate. You are. Every day, our minute that passes, you are counting. 11 years. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to get married tomorrow. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know, given our history, mate, it's been 11 years. 11 years? What do you mean our history? I could have birthed and homeschooled a child by then. He's in comprehensive school within 11 years. Like a whole life has been lived in that time. Get over yourself. I just wanted to let you know, given our history, Vom, and you being my first love, thank you for being there for me when I needed you. And even though it didn't go down how we planned, I really wish I would have looked at all the good you did for me and not just all the bad. I feel like I just cared too much about you to be able to handle all the rumours I heard to have you in my life. Of course I still think about you. Who's asking? Who is asking, sir? Not me. I don't want to know if you're still thinking about me 11 years on. Don't trauma dump on me. The whole thing horrifies me, as you can tell. I'll try and get through it without interrupting. Of course I still think of you. On your birthday, when I see the same car you used to drive. The car's probably not even going anymore. It's probably been discontinued. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't not interrupt it because I'm horrified. When I go to our favourite restaurant and when our favourite song comes on, I don't know if there will ever be a time where your name means just a name and not all the memories that flood my head after it. You're not ready for this next part. I told my children about you and told them about the fun times, but also told them about the pain. I literally want to vomit. I can't deal. I have watched your life through pictures for 11 years. It's given joy from you. Checking in with your friends every once in a while just to see if you're doing okay. But anyways, I know we haven't seen each other in all these years, but maybe it was meant to be that way so we didn't become drawn back to each other. I am really happy you're doing well and I really hope you're happy for me. I mean, can you believe it? I'm getting married tomorrow. Goodbye, my first love. Maybe in another lifetime. You having a laugh? I told my kids about you. Mate, they're not just your kids. Their mother is who you're marrying. Do you really think your kids want to hear about that? If my father said to me, oh, do you know what? I love your mother, but there was this one woman, No, I never would ever want to hear that. Like, what benefit do you think that's doing to the kids? You've just got trauma, you've got regret from messing it up with your first love, and you are still selfishly, you selfish prick, to make yourself feel better, you're telling all the wrong people. This woman's been going on with her life for 11 years. She doesn't need this blast from the past. Also, you're not embarrassed. To send that message, there'd have to be a gun to my head. If I was married, firstly, let's backtrack there. Firstly, I wouldn't be marrying somebody if I was still thinking about someone else that deeply. Let's start there. Because what have you got to lose? At that point, if you love somebody and you're thinking about them that much, just go and say to them, just literally reach out and be like, I'm thinking about you. I've met somebody I want to settle down with, but I cannot stop thinking about you. Is there a chance? Surely that, and then being told no, and being no worse off, surely that is better than marrying somebody and always thinking about somebody else in the back of your head. So let's start there. I'd never be at the aisle with somebody if I was thinking that. Secondly, if I somehow did find myself in that situation, there wouldn't be a chance in hell that I would tell that person. I wouldn't want to tell a single soul that I was still thinking about my boyfriend, my first love, from 11 years ago. Embarrassing. Why do people act like getting married is the end of their life? He's acting like he's been drafted into war. He's acting like he may never come back. You've literally just got married. Marriage should just be an elevation of your life. Your life should be the same, but much better and much happier. But your life is the same. You don't suddenly go into the abyss and never see or speak to anyone again and like this is your life. If that's your thoughts on marriage, again, probably shouldn't be going through with it. That is the wildest shit I've seen. And the thought that I could be in my white silk robe with feathers on, with all my friends and, family around me, getting excited for my big day, whilst my husband is drinking some flat vodka coke somewhere with his phone up on Facebook searching for his first love, makes me sick to my stomach. If that's marriage, please keep it away from me because I don't want it. May that love never find me, truly. Horrifying. Actually, in stark contrast, I did see a stunning clip of a wedding this week. Oh my God, the guy was so sweet. They're at the altar and they're saying their own vows. And the guy's basically telling the woman that he knew that he was going to marry her on, he says the date, I think it's like February the 16th, 2018, wherever. And he said he remembers the date because he'd flown out to see her, obviously Valentine's weekend, and they broke up again. He said they thought it was a good idea to break up again, and he's at the airport waiting to fly home and he's feeling really down, but he pulls out his plane ticket and he writes on it, I'm gonna marry that girl. And then he pulls the plane ticket out of his pocket at the altar, like he had kept it the whole time. Is that just not the sweetest thing? Like he knew he was gonna marry her, even though they'd broken up, even all the shit they'd been through. That's manifestation, guys. And he kept it and he showed at the altar and she's crying. Oh my God, it was so nice. So with every bad story about marriage and all the rest of it, I think and I hope there's 1,500 more, So once again, guys, if you've got any stories, any nice ones particularly, send them our way. Let's keep the hope call going. Although to be fair, this week's story is nice because they're together and they're in a good place. So that is a nice story. But yeah, if you've got obviously any stories, any dramas, any crazy first dates you've been on, then please send them my way. You can email me at sadie@lovewhatluck.com or just DM me. I'm at Sadie Maltby at lovewhatluck. And also remember, we've got the anonymous link, which is always in my show notes. It's on my Instagram. You can find it. But I do think it's important, like I always say, I want to try and get a nice story out because I went for dinner with my friend the other night, right? She sits me down, she tells me 3 back-to-back stories of the most horrific horrific stories about her friends and these guys and what they've done. She told me one of the stories I remember in particular, right? This couple, they'd been together for something like 7 or 8 years, got married last year, and then he said that he was going through a tough time and that he should fly out to her home country. I'm going to keep her anonymous. So basically, they both live in London, but she wasn't born here, like she's not British. So obviously they spent a lot of time in her home country and that's where they got married. So he told her he was going through a tough time, that he should fly out to her house that she owned. Obviously it was like half his because they're married now, but it's her house in her home country. And then as she was there, her housekeeper rang her and was like, you need to come out here. Shit's going down, like you have to come here. Bless the housekeeper's heart. Anyway, it turns out he was having an affair with somebody he worked with in her house. Didn't tell her, just said he needed some time wherever. Moved to the other side of the world, had an affair. Now they're getting divorced and he wants to take half of everything. Like all those men that get triggered thinking women are gold diggers and no, we don't want to get married because they take half. No, you're just as bad. You're just as bad because now he wants to take half of everything. Horrendous. Also, they're together for so long and then it goes tits up after marriage. So truly, is marriage a death sentence? Next week's episode. Is marriage the end of your life? Does marriage ruin your life? I don't think so, guys. Wild though. So yeah, if you have got a nice little story, then send her away. I saw this screenshot this week, right, that I've got to read out to you. Every now and then, I think about the time when the hottest man I ever dated screenshotted a follow request from my mother and texted me, "Is this your mum?" 5 minutes after I left our first date because she didn't know how Instagram worked. Oh my word. Can you imagine? That's something like my mother would do, to be fair. Why do mothers need to know every single detail or like about who you're with and stuff? It's too risky. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Please, if there's anything that you want me to chat about or you want to chat about with me, then let me know. My mother told me the other week that my episode was boring. She's like, you need to get some people on. So that's going to be my next goal because, yeah, I'm just out here by myself, just, absolutely raw dogging my way through life. So yeah, come and give me a shout. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Remember to follow and subscribe, please. And thank you so much for watching and listening. And I'll speak to you next week.